Hi, my name is Ayomide. Welcome to the World Without People podcast, where we journey into some pretty amazing stories of everyday people. I believe strongly in the interconnectedness of our human experience, that we can color and enrich our lives by sharing and learning from our lived experiences. In this concise podcast, I bring to you engaging conversations like a chapter in a vibrant book designed to motivate and encourage and challenge and, of course, brighten your day. My guests also get to ask me one question, and there's no telling what they might come up with. So thank you for tuning in. Grab your coffee or tea or listen on the go to some amazing stories of real people. After all, what is a world without people? Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The World Without People. My name is Ayomide, and I'm so glad that you're here with me today because I have a very special guest for you, Sola Okunoren. We're going to be talking about some deep things today, and I can't wait for us to go into it. Welcome, Sola.
Hey, hello everybody. Hello, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it and I look forward to all we have to talk about.
Thank you. Okay, so like I said, we're going to start deep because Shala recently lost his brother, a friend of mine as well, Kayode, a couple months ago. And it was a rather surprising diagnosis because he was very young. So, talk us through learning about the diagnosis as well as the prognosis.
Yeah, it's definitely easier to talk about these days. We found out last October he actually started just having back pains. And, anyone that knows Kay is, he's like a super optimistic guy, but he also takes his health very serious. So it's pretty weird to find out at such a young age, tender age of 41, that your back pain that you were having was actually, colon cancer that traveled up to your spine and to your liver. And it was really, really hard to learn that. And I think, even as I'm talking about it right now, it's like dredging up all the emotions, but he was strong from the start to the finish. I don't even know how I would take that kind of diagnosis, let alone when the doctor tells you there's nothing they can do for you anymore and you just leave it all in God's hands. And he was strong, super strong all the way through, lasted for, we found out October he had his surgeries. I think I spoke to you around when he was having his spine surgery,
Right.
and all the way, up to palliative care to January 17th, he passed. And all through it, Kay was just super strong. Obviously, you could see the fear that he had because he would call at random times. And, I think a lot of Nigerians don't tell each other how much we love each other. We all know we
Mm,
love each other, right? In Nigerian
right.
culture, family, parents, brothers, siblings, but we never really vocalize it. And I think, hearing him vocalize it with not just me, but everybody in his immediate circle, he knew his time was coming to an end. And he just tried to show everyone love in those few months. And it was tough. It's still tough, but we keep moving. Life is a series of not just what things happen to us, but how we actually take them. And I'm still in that mode myself. And it's been pretty crazy, but we stay encouraged.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Did you feel like you were already mourning him before he finally even passed on?
No,
Mm,
no. So I say, like, we all mourn differently, but I didn't believe he was going to pass. Like when we were finding out about the diagnosis and he was like, bro, I think I have cancer of the spine. My thought process was always like, let's see another doctor. I don't think reality set in for any of us. When he finally did pass, I was just happy that he wasn't suffering anymore because I've never in my entire 40 years on this planet had to deal with a loss this sudden, and
right.
watching it go from regular just talking every day to sleeping in the rooms with him day in, day out, watching him transition. So I wasn't ready for the morning at all, but who's ever going to be ready until you go through it? You don't know how you're going to react. Cried a
Right.
lot, got closer to God a lot. We all bonded as just family, friends, and everybody coming together at this time. And I say that we probably all should try to be in each other's lives intentionally throughout and not wait for just bad times to happen to bring us all together, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's one of the helpful lessons of some of these things, even though it's not, you don't want to be the one going through it, right? Like, it's like, yeah, I want to learn that, but let me learn it through your story as opposed to learning it from my own personal experience.
Yep. And it's crazy because we all, like it or not, we're all aging. We all
Mm,
have family around us. We're all going to have to experience this. And I think we all have this thing where we think we're immortal. We don't really think we're immortal, but nobody really talks about death or talks
mm,
about loss. And when
mm,
it happens, we're all like devastated, right? Rightfully so. But I think what I've learned through like losing my brother was enjoying the journey that is life. And that sounds so cliche to say, right? Enjoying the journey that is life. But truly, like breaking it down and saying, man, YOLO, like you only live once. And I think when you digest that thought, the thought that, man, tomorrow's not promised. What am I doing today to not only just wake up every day, work a 9 to 5, go ahead and just go through the motions that is life? Am I experiencing joy? Am I
mm,
experiencing happiness? Am I fellowshipping with friends and families? Am I getting to know people? Am I going outside of my comfort zone and trying to see more of the world? What am I doing in this experience that is life? Or am I just living till my last day? And I think
mm.
losing K, every day I find something to look forward to and I try to be intentional with my time.
That's awesome. While you must be going through your own pain as the sibling,
Right,
I'm just wondering if you can talk us through just how your pain in absorbing what your parents must be feeling,
right,
what his wife must be feeling,
right.
his children must be feeling.
Right. It's tough. And I'll correct everybody out there just so you know it was three of us. So he's my only brother.
Ah,
So
got it.
my sister is the oldest. I'm the youngest. He was the middle child. And I think what I'm going through right now to answer your question is, being the only son, now.
Mm,
And, my brother was a mama's boy, and I'm a daddy's boy, right? So it's more of those things where I have to kind of fill his shoes now and call mom every day, which not that I don't love my mother. It's just everybody has their favorites, right? I'm a daddy's boy. So me and my dad, we kind of have the same kind of personality. We text a lot. So it's like having to be there for my mom, filling that void that is her loss. It's been a challenge, his wife, having to step in and try to fill that void because they're going to need a fatherly figure in their life. It's day by day. It's step by step. And I think no one has like this clad tight formula, but every day I just wake up and I try to be intentional, like I said, in building those relationships, maintaining those relationships, and just showing love and being there. Even when people aren't ready to talk some days, like not everybody is up to talk about his loss every day. But just
mm,
saying like, hey, I'm here if you need a shoulder to cry on, if you need somebody to, watch the NBA playoffs. As you know, my brother was
mm,
huge on basketball, so this is
mm-hmm,
a really hard time for even like my brother-in-law because my
mm,
brother-in-law, my sister's husband, is a huge NBA fanatic, and I'll be real, I don't watch sports, right? Like I think I watch boxing. That's about it. So trying to even fill that void as somebody that discusses the NBA playoffs with my
mm,
brother-in-law, I feel like I'm pulled in so many directions, but it's part of life, and
right.
it's being intentional, knowing that hey, we are family, we are not just blood, but we're joined by his memory, and trying to be a positive impact in everyone's life. It's a tough thing daily, but we just pivot daily.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah,
Okay, I often struggle with knowing the words to say and how to help when
yeah,
someone loses a loved one.
yeah.
What has been the most helpful for you throughout this difficult time?
The most helpful thing is everybody says time heals all wounds, or like you said, people struggle with the thing to say. I think just giving people space is what I've learned. I cope probably stronger than a lot of people in my family just because that's just my personality. I can deal with really tough things because I compartmentalize a lot. But even in that, I've seen that I need space as well. and I need space to just process things. And I'm seeing that there's a lot of processing with everyone in my family. People want to talk about memories, or some people don't want to talk at all. It's that space and that time, trying to figure out who needs space, who needs time, who needs to talk about the past, who doesn't want to talk about the past. I don't think there's a formula for everyone. There's not a one trick pony for everyone, but it's just trying to meet everybody where they're at the moment.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And if you know Shala, you know that a few weeks later he was on the beach somewhere with his lovely wife and
Yeah.
sharing positive messages as he always does. And
Yeah.
so, how do you retain your positivity? You said it a little bit where you're strong, you're able to compartmentalize,
Compartmentalize. Yeah.
but it's still one thing to say it, it's another thing to
Yeah,
do
to
it.
do it.
So, yeah, how does this work?
So how can let me break this down. So social media is this weird thing where we all see something, but we don't see the behinds of it. So while Kay was still coherent before he went to palliative care, his one thing was like, man, I didn't live my life. My brother was big on finances, stocks, sports. Like he didn't really travel. He didn't really, live. And when we first got the diagnosis, I remember us talking. He's like, man, I never went to freaking Disney World with my kids. And I'm like, we're going to go to Disney World. And the look on his face when he said, I'm probably not, probably never going to go to Disney World. Right. But he was like, whatever you do, I want you to still live and I want you to be there for my kids. So when he passed, going to a beach, of course, it's second nature because I travel a lot. But the crying, the reason I said social media, people don't see the crying that I did while I was on vacation, the energy release from the stress and everything. You don't see those. Like, I'm not obviously going to post that on social media, but there's pain. But again, it goes back to how can we go through these really hard times in our lives and find a way to vibrate higher. And I vibe high. I've been saying that for probably the last 6 years. When I say vibe high, I really mean that. Like I've been through a lot of things in my life, including the hardest thing, losing my only brother. But how can I go through pain, but understand that it's part of what life's journey is? And even though I'm in that pain, find something to look forward to, find something to smile about. Because again, life is everything. It's not always going to be good and it's not always going to be bad, but can we find joy in our everyday to day? And that's all I put in my mind. Like woke up this morning, the same thing. I was like, man, this has been a really, really stressful day. I'm in real estate. I got a lot of stuff going on, dealing with family as well. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a son, but with all of these things going on, can I find things to grab onto, to look forward to for the future and live in the happiness in the now? And I think I try to just do that every day.
That's awesome. But on the one hand, this seems like a real life example of like curating and or faking it for the gram. So what would you say is the line between being authentic with your social media presence or persona and the fact that having said persona or presence requires that one project a certain image?
Yep. So that is a definite fine line because I think authenticity is super important. I can't get on a camera and share my most intimate times of me just crying just because that's just not me. But can I talk about it? I'm not going to do it on a TikTok or Instagram media platform, but on Facebook, can I write like, you know, no pun intended or, no reference intended, a eulogy, like, or a
Mm.
big dissertation about what I'm going through and someone can read it and it can actually go, dang, I'm going through that as well. So I think being authentic, even in your pain, is important because the people who are following you, they resonate with that and they go, man, I'm going through that too. Or if I go through that, how will I handle it as well? So I try to be authentic, but like I said, vibrating higher is a very big thing for me. I have to be happy. I have to project positivity out there because that's what I would want someone to do for me in my low times. So again, it's about what life is happening to you, but how we react to life. And you can be authentic, but you can also choose the positive instead of the negative. And I think every day I choose the positivity, regardless of what's going out there.
Okay. All right, that's fair. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And you and your wife travel a lot. How
yeah.
many countries have you been to so far?
Yay! The last time I counted, I think we are north of 40 now.
Dang.
Yeah,
I
yes,
really need to get going. Oh my gosh, you're the second person
yes.
I'm interviewing and who's done like 40. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Like I tell people all the time, wherever you are, it does not matter if you were born in that place or you've lived there all your life. Can you imagine not seeing any part of the world and, not to be morbid, die?
Mm,
Like, YOLO is a real thing. You only live once, and the world is vast and it's so beautiful. And one of my favorite shows, Anthony Bourdain, Parts Unknown, he would travel the world and he wouldn't just do like all these five-star hotels. He really would get in there with the locals and learn what they do. And so when I travel, I'm not like gallivanting around on five-star resorts every day. I'm trying to like see what the locals do in their time and enjoying and seeing a place that I'm at through a local's eye. And I'm telling you, when you do that, if you do live in the States or you live in a very developed country, you come back with an appreciation of, man, life is really a blessing. Because there are people in parts of the world right now that literally have nothing, but the joy on their faces will blow your socks off because they've learned that life is not about just working. It's not just about having these worldly possessions. Life is about how you interact with your surroundings and how you learn people and fellowship with people. So every country I go to, or every country that Jazz and I try to visit, we really try to acclimate ourselves with the locals. And it's been such a blessing because it really humbles you that there are people out here that don't have as much as you have, but have so, so, so much joy.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
But
man.
you and your wife travel a lot together also because you work together.
Yeah,
So
we do.
talk us through being together all the time, still being able to function well at work, but also having peace at home.
I tell people this all the time. If you find your person, it sounds like something that you can never achieve, but your person should be your best friend. Your person should be someone who spending time with them is just as easy as breathing. You know,
Mm,
I didn't say it's going to be easy working with them, but at the end of the day, whoever is your person is truly like your person, your best friend. You're not putting up a facade daily, none of that. That's your person. It's truly, as cliche as it sounds, your soulmate. And we just have a good time together. Like, she's my best friend. And that's how I think love stories should be. They really should be that. It should be someone that you enjoy every part of being with them. The good times, the bad times, the travel, the working late hours. We're both in real estate, but we find time to be intentional with how we love each other even when we're traveling or even when we're working. And
mm.
that's a whole nother podcast, I'm sure.
No, but tell us about it. I want to hear about that. Amazing.
So I tell people all the time, when you find your person, it's easier if you both are in the same field. And I know
Mm,
that's unrealistic for a lot of listeners out there. But what I have found is, especially in being in real estate and the long hours we put in, it just makes things easier if the person actually understands what you do for a living and not
mm,
just understand on a surface level, but the nitty gritty, the late night talks and texts with your clients, the going to show homes. So we both have 9 to 5. So I work for a builder. She's entitled, but we're both also licensed Texas realtors. So we literally have 3 jobs in between us, right? And we help each other
mm,
in all those 3 jobs. It really truly works when you have someone that you trust, you love, you work well with, and on days you don't work well with, you have that companionship where you can communicate. I believe in communication, comprehension, and collaboration, but also compromise. Those are 4 C's, right?
yeah.
And the best relationships that I know have those 4 C's. Everyone can communicate. Can everyone comprehend?
Mm,
Even when they comprehend, can they collaborate? And even when they collaborate, can they compromise? And the
mm.
best relationships that I've studied have those 4 C attributes to them. And if you have that, you can navigate anything in life, whether it be being parents together, whether it be working together, whether it's building wealth together, whether travel. But you have to have those core things. That's another C word. Those core things with your spouse, or you will struggle. I'm not saying you need all four. I'm saying the best world, having all four makes your life easier.
Amen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, first of all, you should add parenting to the three jobs that you guys have.
Yes,
There's
we're
like
parents
four.
as well.
But yeah, like you're saying though, so with working this much and or working this long hours together and as well as traveling together, how is parenting together? Like how do you
Wow.
ensure that your kids are not missing out? They still get
And
all of their attention, all of
yes,
that stuff. I know you travel with them sometimes,
yes,
but again, like you've mentioned, you both are so much in your own space. How do you
yes.
bring it to your kids?
I think one word, calendar. So the family calendar is so, so, so important. So every time I schedule something or my wife schedules something, we actually, on our, like, if you look at my calendar, it'll probably make your head hurt, but it's actually like detailed. So we have a calendar and we invite each other so we know everything that we're both doing throughout the week, throughout the month. And we try to plan like 2 months in advance. So yes, we do travel with our children, but we also know that we need time alone. We do have a nanny. I don't know if you were hearing in the beginning. I had like a couple of stuff going on in the background. Our nanny Emily was just leaving for the day. And I think it really takes a village. There's a lot of cliche stuff I'm saying today, but it truly does take a village to run a household. So when we do travel alone, we have Emily. We just got back from Tulum a couple days ago, and we had Emily actually watching the youngest, my baby girl who just turned 1. We had her working at grandma's house 5 a.m. in the morning till around 4 p.m. to relieve grandma till grandma could take over for nighttime. So it's all about the village. You got to have like your family structure set up, and you got to have your calendar set up, and you have make sure you have your Emily's, your personal assistants. And as pricey as it gets, you want to have experiences in life. The greatest of experiences sometimes do cost a little bit of dollars, but it's an experience. And then it motivates us to work even harder to afford those experiences.
Amen. Because you guys travel like what? 10
Twice.
times a year?
Yeah. Oh my God. So there's 4 quarters in a year. We probably travel around 8 to 9 times a year. But
Okay.
those are things to look forward to. So as we got back from Tulum, we planned Bermuda and St. Kitts. So it's something to look forward to. And I see a lot of like, people who work every day. They're just going through the motions of life. I work, I pay my bills, I save, I maybe invest a little bit and rinse and repeat. But no one really plans out their life with, hey, I need to take time. You don't always have to go on a vacation or a lavish vacation. Sometimes you can have a staycay. You could go do something in the city, turn your phone off, and spend 2 days unplugged wherever you are. But people aren't doing that. We're in a day and age where everybody is about that grind. They're about that hustle. And that grind and that hustle, just doing that every day. We talked about my brother in the beginning. Who knows when your time is?
Right.
Because none of us have a crystal ball. If you're working and working and working towards retirement, number one, what if you never make it to retirement? And number two, what if you make it to retirement, but you have ailments where you can't even travel? Or forget travel, you can't do the things in life that you want to do, that you've planned all through retirement. I believe in rewarding yourself as you go through life, because that's what life is about, is experiencing. I don't want to wait till I'm 55, 65 years old to go see, I don't know, Trinidad and Tobago. Like, what if I need a walking stick, people to wheel me off the plane? I don't have earning power to do that, to even do that. So you look at a lot of like the baby boomers that are getting older that never traveled. They're stuck in a cycle and now they can't even travel. They can't do the things they could have done when they were younger. So I believe rewarding yourself as you go through life, having something to look forward to, even if it's not travel. It could be, you know what? I really want to get this book that I'm writing done. I'm going to work on it as I'm working my 9 to 5. Build these goals, build these daily goals, because life is better lived having things to look forward to on a weekly and a monthly basis.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. I don't think we
Yeah.
talked about this before, but I
Okay.
like this conversation. So,
Yeah.
how do you set your goals? What are you driven by? What should we be driven by?
Okay. I think it's different for everyone. I can tell you
Mm-hmm.
right now, my goals have nothing to do with money. My goals right now are to impact as many people in my sphere or my city in a positive manner. I do that through real estate. I give people the gift of home ownership. And even if people cannot have home ownership, I try to inspire people daily to be a good person in their community, to be a good human in their community. And I just think that if you could just focus your life on just trying to do positive things daily to impact your community, you plan weekly how to do that. So every week, I know that I want to go out in the community, serve my community, find people to give the gift of home ownership to, or educate my community in how to own property, because property is the one thing that everyone has to have in some kind of way. You either rent or you own. And renting is getting way more expensive, as we all know, across the US. So the road to home ownership is super important to me. So I plan my goals to impact people's lives positively in real estate, but then I set goals for myself that are to enjoy life in a positive manner and to meet more people. I'm all about fellowship and meeting new people every day. I lost my only brother. So when I meet people now, I take relationships a little bit different, because you never know what's going to happen, where when they're going to go, when I'm going to go. So I'm very strange when I meet people. If I like you as a person, I'm going to intentionally try to stay in touch in, reach in through phone, text, social media, but I'm building community within my community. Those are my only apex goals. Like, that's all, that's my North Star, is to build community and live a lasting positive impact on everyone that I meet. That is all I'm after in life.
I love that. I love how you're talking about your job as not a job, but
No.
like an avenue to actually do something. And honestly,
Yes.
I've been telling God I need that career, which is, why I like doing this podcast as
Yes.
well, because we're not supposed to just live for that nine to
Yes.
five. And I really love that you look at
Yes.
real estate as,
Yes.
giving people the gift of
Home ownership.
ownership.
And it's
It's
we
really cool.
oh, thank you. Thank you, sis. Like, I look at it like this, like, we are not only what we do. We are human beings all sharing a planet. It sounds really kumbaya, but it's real. Like, I just can't believe in just going to work every day, going through the motions, making money, making a commission, coming back home, paying my bills. Like, how am I positively impacting people's lives? And I tell people all the time, whatever you're doing, if you don't like what you do for a living, you can monetize something you love. You're doing a podcast right now. You're reaching so many people, but you can eventually grow this platform and have advertising that actually pays you to impact people in a positive manner and talk about regular day stuff. We
Mm-hmm.
can monetize everything that we do. I think people just get a job, make good money, but a job is just a job. You're not just what you do. Try to be in a field that you're excited about, that you're passionate about. Find something that rewards you in that field apart from money, and make impact. Impact is my North Star. Positivity is my
Yeah.
North Star. And I look for that in everyone that I meet. And I try to add value to everyone that I meet. It's so, so important in these times that we're in.
I agree, 120%. And
Yeah.
like you've already said, you have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
I know that. But
Yeah.
let's talk about it because I know that you also have a lot more female friends than guy friends.
I do.
So,
You know what? Since a kid, I just seem to just have a lot of female friends. My first best friend, apart from my brother, was my sister, who was the oldest. And I spent a lot of time with her, right? And all her friends. And I just think that I understand women,
mhm.
and I think I'm a good listener. And I think I just end up with a lot of female friends. And a lot of my female friends become my wife's best friends, too. Funny enough, my best friend, Shirley, shout out Shirley if you're listening. And we're actually getting ready to take her to dinner with my wife, with guys what I've noticed growing up is we're all so macho and we don't really talk about emotion a lot. And I'm very emotional and passionate. And I think
Mm.
guys are like, oh, that sounds weird. I do have guy friends and I make them very uncomfortable, especially since my brother died. I don't get off the phone without telling my close guy friends, I love you, bro. And I can hear them cringe and I love it.
That is so awesome. But you just said now how like you're going out with your best
Yes.
friend who's
Yeah.
female
Yeah.
and your wife. So talk us through that because I'm opposite of you, as you know, and people don't be believing that you can have good
uh,
friendships with
oh, you
opposite
can.
sex. So talk us about that, especially with your
Oh, I mean,
spouse.
you can. Obviously, I've known Shirley for 14, 15 years now, and I've been with my wife now for 5 years, right? So
Mm,
I think when you meet someone and you connect with someone, I don't believe in 86 and canceling out friends just because you get a spouse, right? It's just, for
mm,
me, if I connect with someone and they're really truly my friends and we've never done anything of that sort in the past, but we're there for each other, whoever I meet, I've known them longer. They have to gel or it won't gel. I don't believe in deleting friendships. I see a lot of people that are like cool with people, guys, girls, they're all friends. And then the moment they get in a relationship, like the other person's uncomfortable and then they move, they're like, hey, I can't be friends anymore. And I just think, the
mm.
intent. What's the intent? As
Yeah.
long as you guys are truly friends and there's nothing funny like that going on or never did, it's also like, how can I put it? I don't change myself for relationships. Like I am who I
Mm,
am, and I've been in this world before I met my wife, and I'm not gonna drop all my friendships that helped me through sad times, hard times, college days, all of that, just because I met someone. So I think bringing in that spouse to say, hey, these are my friends, it's almost like it makes your spouse super comfortable because you want to introduce them to all your friends. And I think a lot of guys that I know that can't have female friends outside of their marriage is because they didn't do that in the beginning. Shirley was the first person who
mm,
actually met Jazz, my wife. And it was a
mm.
point to me, it was like, hey, I am falling in love with this person and I need you to sign off on this.
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
they just
Yeah.
gel. But apart from that, I have a lot of female friends just because I'm a passionate guy and I think I'm a good listener, have that. And it's been a
Yeah.
blessing because, hey, women are more emotional than guys, especially when my brother died. I had way more emotional female friends that were there for me than some of my guys that had nothing to say. God, we're too
Mm.
macho sometimes. And I want to tell guy listeners out there, soften up a little bit. I know we were all taught when we were younger to be like hard and taught to be macho at all times. It's okay to be emotional. It's okay to be passionate. It's okay to tell your guy friends, "Hey man, I love you, bro," because it's hindsight's 2020. When people die and you never told them you love them, you start thinking like, "Damn, I never got to really share that passionate side." And I think more guys out there got to do that.
And I think that it's especially very apt for you because you're a girl
Yeah.
dad.
Yeah.
So clearly you got all your training that
Yeah.
you needed. But talk to us about that because I know it's a role you really cherish. So
Oh
talk to us
man,
about
being a
that.
girl dad is absolutely awesome. So I'm a girl dad of three. I have a 14 and a 10-year old from my previous marriage, and I have my 1-year old baby. And I think being a girl dad is a gift that I want any man that's fortunate enough to experience it to really revel in it, like enjoy it. Little girls give you unconditional love, you know, and you are the first man that they love. You're their first superhero, and they just give this care. I have a nephew that, even as my nephew, he's not able to do, so I
Mm,
just enjoy being a girl dad because I want to be a positive male influence in their lives and for them to understand that when you meet men, they should cater to you. They should be there for you. They should be good listeners. And I enjoy it. I truly enjoy being a girl dad. My 14-year-old is such a smart, honor roll, smart, analytical, beautiful little girl. But we're in the teenage years where, kids will question you about certain things, and they want
Mm.
dialogue and they want you to explain things to them. So, does that father daughter strain of relationship sometimes happen? Yes, because, in my eyes, you're still a kid, but as you grow as an adult,
Right.
I have to answer tough questions that you ask, you know? And
Right.
that fatherly, that, oh, I adore you, dad thing kind of goes away at like 13. And they say it comes back at like the age of 25. That's what all my
I
OGs are
think so.
telling me. But, we're in a weird space where my daughter still adores me and I adore her. But it's teenage years. There's a lot of tough questions. There's a lot of, she's inquisitive about a lot. She's going to sit you down and ask you tough things. And you have to be 100% open, which, takes away the superhero S on your chest in her eyes sometimes because you're only human. But again, it's part of life. It's part of showing your kids that, hey, I'm still human even though I'm your father.
I love that. This has actually been really fun. And so, the last thing for me, what are you most looking forward to in the next 2 years besides your book? I know
Yes,
you're
I'm
working
working on the
on.
book. It's called Vibe High. But what am I looking for in just life? I am looking forward in the next years, not only just releasing the book, but adding more value, not just to my community, but on a digital space too. I want to
Okay.
impact as many people as possible and take this platform that I'm building to another level where everyone can share the vibe high movement of when things happen in your life you can turn lemon to lemonade. And it's going to take years to build the platform, but to get people to understand that this isn't some kumbaya thing that I'm on a journey to do, but life serves us so much bad, but can we find the good in it? So I'm looking forward to growing my platform and me and my wife's platform and sharing all that is life, all that is love, all that is hard work, all that is spirituality, all that is parenting, and all that is positive. That's all I want to complete. I want to impact people on a positive level. That's it.
Hey man, I love that. I love that. And I'm looking forward to going on that journey with you. With that said, you get to ask me one question before you go. Before you
Let's
go.
go. One question. If you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing? And the second part to that question is, who is Ayomide?
I love it. Okay. I think outside of podcasting, I think I would have been an author already. I love to write. I think that's something that I really think that I want to do still. So I'm trying to navigate that. But outside of maybe that, I'm with you. I'm very big on impact, and I really want to see change in Africa. And I also want to see a lot of young people getting into their purpose in life early on so they don't waste a lot of their youth not knowing what they're supposed to do, right? Because like you said, we never know when we're going to go. So that's those are the things that I would have done if I wasn't I guess in my regular 9 to 5 right now. And as far as who is Ayamide, it's funny because I tell people that I use all my names depending on who's on the podcast. Everybody's calling me different things.
Hey, like
Yes,
who are you? Who is
exactly.
this enigma of a woman?
I think I'm many, many things, but I key into my names for what I'm doing because Ayomide is joy, right? Like it's, my joy has come. And so in telling these stories, I hope, obviously today we talked about grief, for example, but like, I hope that people can laugh as I've laughed throughout this, right? Like just get some joy. And I think that when I think about my names, they've always meant something. So Olubukwonla, Ayomide, Moyosola, Nifemi, it all means something. God has added wealth. God loves me, joy. And so all of that really define who I am. And I think they're kind of my north star actually because they make me think about, okay, who are you going to be? So you're going to be generous, you're going to be joyful, you're going to be giving, and you're going to know that you're loved by God and you're going to love other people.
Wow.
So,
And names are so important. Like you just listed out all your names. And when I see people
yeah.
naming their kids stuff, I try to tell people whatever you name your children, they usually look at anyone you know, they play out their
Mm-hmm.
names. They play
Amen.
out their names.
So,
So, man, I love that. That was awesome.
thank you. That was a very beautiful question. And thank you so much for joining me.
Oh
I
no,
really
thank you for
appreciate
having me.
you.
This was so much fun. And I can't wait to just see your platform continue to grow and expand. And then we link back up and then you come on my platform as well. And I love
Amen.
this for you. I love the impact that you're leaving. And I wish you so much more success.
Thank you so much, bro. Thank you, everyone, for joining us
Yes,
today.
y'all.
Thank you for joining me in today's episode. Just like you would share with friends about a great book you read, don't forget to share this if you enjoyed it. Connect with us on IG and Twitter at TWWPcast and get details on the website at worldwithoutpeople.org. And hey, remember to make loving others the story of your life. Until next time, this is the world without people.